Hello, everyone. Dave Fernandez here. Welcome to the Coach Your Way show. This is episode number 4 of our interview series, What It Takes to Be a Coach. And today we have a very special guest, Kris Nurse, coming to us from Dallas, Texas. How you doing, Kris?
I am good. How are you doing?
Very good. Thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you
This
for
is awesome.
having me. I love chatting with you.
A pleasure, always a pleasure. So Kris is the co-founder of Mental Wellness Unleashed. Previous to that, she was a talent coach in the corporate world, and that actually led her to go on her own, become independent, and start coaching on tools for people to be stronger with their own mental wellness. So, Kris, tell us a little bit about that transition, between the corporate world and now being an independent, business owner.
Absolutely. So, started out, I think like probably many of us in the corporate space, just wanting to get my foot in the door and get into the corporate world, and really spent most of my corporate time in the financial services space. And I found myself started out in what we call an operations role, but immediately I was coaching and training my peers, even though that was not my role, on how to increase their performance with whatever we were doing. Mm-hmm. And it was natural for me to do that. And folks and individuals just came to me within my team, and I continued to help them become better at their role. So much so that the learning and development department tapped me on the shoulder and said, you do this so well, you don't have training, right? I didn't go to school to be a professional training individual or coaching individual. And, with that, I continued throughout my career to do that. So I had the opportunity at that point to not only help my peers in my role, but I was helping individuals in all of their roles. And guess what? I didn't know how to do their role. I didn't know how to be a customer service agent. I didn't know how to process loans, but I knew how to sit with someone and pull that out of them. And so, and I was in the corporate space for 20 years. And so, mostly then stepping into the human resource role. So then not only did I evolve from that learning and development, but it became about helping and doing projects and initiatives to enhance the employee experience and the customer experience. So it continued to become broader and broader in that space. And, loving the corporate world, learning so much, it gave me an opportunity to learn different tools for myself to how to be a better coach and develop talent. And then there was the opportunity that comes about, and you probably hear about it a lot in the corporate world and space and roles, and, an opportunity to where my role was going away within the organization because of a business strategy decision from a product standpoint, where I was running a team that supported this product, running a whole, learning organization around that. And they gave me a decision to step into another role and stay within the organization, but it wasn't a role I was passionate around. And I was at that point in time in my life to where I needed to start drinking my own tea, right? I was helping people align to their purpose, be the best that they could be in whatever that role or that path was, but I wasn't doing it for myself. And that moment made me go, I have the opportunity to step out of my safe corporate world, right? And be able to help a lot more people, regardless of what their direction was. And, at that point, I made that scary decision to say, I'm stepping out of the safety zone and continuing down the corporate path, and I'm going to start my own company and make some differences that way and really test myself. I was challenging myself selfishly. I'm like, I'm going to challenge myself.
I love it. Was it like, once you made the decision, were you like, oh my God? Did you feel
every day? I still, every day. And I mean, not in a bad way, but it's like, I'm still learning how to find resources that I never had to find before.
Interesting.
within, because within a corporate space, you had a lot of those different opportunities. Now I had to influence to still get them within the corporate world, whether that's budgets, resources, tools, help of other areas within the organization to meet our goals. And now I'm having to find that a little bit more on my own and test the waters with it. Like I'll test, and this avenue or this resource didn't work as well, so I need to try something else. But at the end of the day, I feel a lot more successful, even though I may have had some fallings, right?
Oh, yeah.
That makes sense.
Hey, of course. I mean, that you can only get there by falling. I mean,
Right.
there's no other way. I remember many years ago when I first left corporate and started doing some things that didn't pan out. Not so much that they didn't pan out, it's that I fell flat on my face, like horribly, right? And I remember like reflecting back on that time, and it just hit me all of a sudden. It's like, I cannot be like praying to God and expecting, that he makes me an expert and an overnight success.
Right.
Like that is not going to happen. What is happening is that for me praying or visualizing and doing all this stuff is that I'm being given the tools and the experiences that I need in order to learn everything that I need to learn in order to, be successful at whatever I want to do. And that was such a profound realization. And I think I wouldn't have had it if I didn't fall flat on my face. And ever since I've failed flat on my face several times, but that's it's part of the entrepreneur journey.
Absolutely.
So Kris, when you were either back in corporate or right now, you were coaching people, what are some of the challenges that sometimes you find as a coach?
Yeah, I would say some of the biggest challenges is working with individuals who truly don't want to be helped, but yet that they think that they do, or they are expecting you to do it for them.
Interesting.
Yeah. So when I think about that, it's then first coming over that obstacle. And now, so look, listen, now I have the opportunity, and this is part of another reason why I'm stepping into my own realm, and we started this company, is that we are here to help individuals that want to help themselves. And I now get to choose that. Where in the corporate space, I didn't before. And meaning that, I would have teams of people where my goal and my passion is to enhance their performance, right? But they wanted to they needed to want to do that, or their performance was not going to enhance. I can't make you a better performer. I can provide you tools, coaching, and accountability to bring that to yourself, but I can't make you better at what your role is. And so that was always one of the biggest challenges, because I would frustrate myself. I would get so frustrated with myself because I would look at it as a failure on me, when in the reality, you can't do that for others. But the feeling and the power of watching others become so much more successful and seeing that light bulb go, I didn't realize I could do that. I wanted to, I didn't realize I could. And when I watch someone else become successful, when I watch somebody else move through their career and meet that potential and just be genuinely happy about how and successful, that was so much more powerful to me than, it overcame working with those that just expected you to what I call fix it for them. You
Sure.
can't, right? So
I guess one of the challenges, in a corporate environment is that, these people are not necessarily paying for, coaching. Is it being imposed on them, or is it their choice? And that could probably play a part in that.
yeah, so it's honestly, it's both, right? So
Okay.
it would be managers coming to me. And what I learned through my career and to be more successful at it is when it was forced, like when someone said, I need you to coach X because they are having challenges around X. Mm-hmm. I realized I actually started coaching more to the person that was asking me to coach somebody because I'm like, why? What are you seeing? What discussions have you had? Like, so I actually started coaching them without even knowing, which then turned around and helped me coach that individual, because what I would recognize is this person wanted to be the best that they could be. Mostly everybody does. It was how they were being approached, or what they were being asked to do, or how they were being asked to do it, that was making the challenge, right? So
interesting. That's very interesting. So I mean, you're kind of touching on this a little bit, but can anyone be coached?
If they want to be, absolutely. But they have to make they have to make that decision first. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And nobody can tell them what they want to be coached on. They first have to figure that out. Mm-hmm. But what I don't think people understand is we are being coached every day by everybody around us. It's whether we choose to listen and how we listen. And that doesn't mean we have to act on what they have said. So as an example, like one of the things that has always stuck with me is giving and receiving feedback. Mm-hmm. And somebody said to me one day, and it took me a second for this to realize, like, this didn't click on immediately and I accepted this feedback. It was, feedback is truly a gift. And what you choose to do with it is powerful. Mm-hmm. So I'm not asking you to take my feedback. I'm asking you to understand my perception or my perspective of what you're doing and decide how you want to approach it. Do you want to change my perspective of, either your behavior, your performance, I'm not asking you, and giving the feedback, you don't tell somebody how to do it. You help them understand how to do it best for them to get whatever that same end result is. But you don't tell them how to do it along the way, right? And so it's really, I always take a step back and go, when I receive feedback, I have to absorb it. That's who I am. If I honestly don't see it, I ask myself then, how do I change that individual's perspective? What are the things that I need to do different, more of, less of? And to me, that is what was so powerful to me. And that's one of the things that I sit with individuals about. And it's more about drawing out for them. You have to tell me what you want before I can help guide you there. And I also can't tell you how to do it.
That's interesting. Well, first of all, when you said about, feedback is a gift, and we're so programmed to just discard it because it immediately hits your ego, right? Like, I'll tell you a quick, simple story here. Something that I'm seeing with our baby, right? We have a 6-year-old, and one of the things that us parents are at fault of is from birth to probably age 5 or so, everything is great. Everything is good. What a great job. You're so good. Oh my God. Right? And all of a sudden, the moment that, something needs to be addressed, it's a major shock to the baby, right? Because, but that's how we're all programmed, right? Because everybody around us, since we were, babies to about that age, until you start to correct certain things or give some real feedback or whatnot, it's been praise. So all of a sudden, naturally, you're perfect until you're 5 or 6, and then you get these shocks, right? And that's probably why we have such a hard time with feedback and stuff. Right. I saw your passion, coming through, when you were talking about, you kind of went back and put yourself in those shoes, and you're coaching people. And I can feel the passion. What is the best thing for you as a coach? What is the best thing, of being a coach for you?
The best thing about being a coach for me is when I've had the opportunity to sit and coach with somebody about a particular end goal result they're wanting to get. And I'm meeting with them, and I am absolutely not doing any of the talking. And what I mean by that,
I love that.
What I mean by that is when we've been able to work together and coach, and that individual is coming to me and they are going, this is what I've done. This is how I've done it. This is what I recognize I needed to shift, and I shifted. This is the result that I got. This is, and it's just me then listening to them know what they need to do, how to do it, how they want to do it when they recognize something isn't working. And I'm just listening to their story of success and what they're doing with it. That's what I love about coaching. That's when I know I've been successful. And that's what's powerful to me, because what I also hear happening, and this is probably my biggest, just jazzes me up, is when that individual then goes, and guess what? I turned around and had this conversation with Sam over there, and I started sharing, well, Sam, what about this? And I started asking the questions that you asked me, Kris, and I saw Sam go,
interesting.
Oh my gosh, I never thought about that. That is to me, it's that it continues to give. Once you have these tools and you put them to practice and it becomes a lifestyle habit, it's so very contagious. And I love seeing that spread. And that's where I'm just like, okay, I'm done.
That's
right?
awesome.
I'm done for the day. I'm going to go have my glass of wine. It's that pay it forward, contagious, and it worked for me, and I'm helping somebody else.
That's right. It's a power of self-awareness. You are bringing that self-awareness into somebody's life, and now that person, oh my God, I can do the same thing, or I can help the same way. I can spread this self-awareness around. That's awesome. Now, you seem like you said before, you are you kind of fell into the path of coaching, not necessarily known, but it feels to me like you're a natural to that. So for somebody who's looking to become a coach and, learn more about it or whatever, should they be worried that they don't have the right background or the right knowledge, or what is it that they should be looking at? Some personal traits that will make it easier? What would you say to someone?
Yeah. So first of all, life is experience to be a coach. So therefore everybody has experience to be a coach, right? It's
powerful.
Yeah. So it's what you want to do with it. So like I said, we get coached every day. I get coached from, my spouse. I get coached from family member, and they're not coaching me to coach me. It's life experiences. It's conversations. It's discussions. Mm-hmm. If you want to choose to make this your path in life, you first need to be very clear with yourself that I'm not here to fix people or fix their problem. To be an effective coach, your goal should be to pull that out of them and then guide them through that. I always call it servant leadership, right? You're behind them, guiding them along the way. They have to discover it themselves. So if that is your path, you need to be comfortable with that fact that you're not there to fix them. You're there to guide them to whatever that path is. And you have to be very comfortable that you may not even agree with the path that they want to go to, right? Like you may see something in them that they don't see yet. And that's okay. So it's like, how do I guide them there? You have to be comfortable with that fact.
How do you go about like getting that out of somebody? Is there anything specific that you do, or how do you get them to see something that they can't see?
Well, I think so. This is where you need to have a lot of self-awareness as a coach. And I think so to go back and answer your question more specifically on skills or experiences, you have to have self-awareness of yourself. Because in the reality of it, maybe what you see in others, they may not even want.
That's interesting.
That doesn't mean that they don't want to have potential or be the best that they can be, but the best that they can be, they need to define, not you. And so that's also, I think, what's a challenge as a coach is we may see something that is our own self-perception of somebody else. Like you could be an amazing manager of a team. The way you operate, your skills, your behaviors, you could be physically running a team, and that individual could go, but I don't want to do that. I don't want to be a person that has indirect individuals that I am also accountable for. But that doesn't mean they can't lead people. And strong individuals see that, and they still continue to lead, even though their title may not be manager. I saw it all the time in the corporate space. And that's a lot of times where I'd have managers come to me and say, we keep offering this person this manager role and they won't take it. Please go help them understand. And then you talk to them and they're like, I don't want to. I don't have the brain capacity after work to worry about other things that I have to worry about. I don't want the technical processes to it. But guess what? I am going to coach and lead my peers, and I'm going to continue to do that every day. And I'm like, good for you. Now I'm going to go coach your manager because right. So that's what I'm saying. So, and I still get stuck in that going, oh, but you could be doing X, Y, and Z now. Well, but I don't want to, right?
Yeah. And tell me something. This is phenomenal. Because I never thought about any of these things. See, the power of being, having a different perspective, right? When it comes to, she mentioned having self-awareness, right? Somebody who may be thinking about, becoming a coach, and they hear all this stuff and they realize, or they doubt the amount of self-awareness, or they doubt the fact that their life has been, any kind of like valuable experience for them to, you know what I mean? Like their life experiences were not enough, for them to go out there and start helping people with that. But I guess what I want to know is, how do you go about developing your own self-awareness?
Okay. So this was I just really learned this technique 2 years ago, and I'm older. I'm not a little kid, right? I've had a lot of life experiences in my life.
Please do share.
Right. But what I realized, and this is really one of the reasons why I've stepped out into the corporate world, and I started this company with an amazing partner who actually opened my eyes to recognize there are tools, there are techniques that every individual can implement and incorporate to change their brain. You have the power to continue to develop up your self-awareness. You have the power to truly change new experiences. You have the power to train your mind to change your mindset. And I never thought about that. And so what I mean by that is, when you can learn to become self-aware, and you have to work. In fact, you have to work at it. It doesn't just happen. And that was the aha for me that gave me the passion to help these tools, because and I call them professional, these mindset tools, they're based on cognitive behavioral therapy, which again, I always thought was tools only used by those that had a mental health condition. That's not the case. I started to learn about these tools and the powerful impact they have to shift our mindset, which are things that when I was in the corporate world, they were asking us to do all the time. Can you train these? But they weren't using those terms. Can you train these individuals to be better communicators? Can you train them to influence? Can you train them to be more confident in meetings, right? That's the end result of what these tools do, and it starts in the mindset. And so, one of the things about being self-aware is you have to self-reflect first and deeply. And it's hard. This is the hardest thing to do. And you have to be honest with yourself in doing that. And you have to be forgiving of yourself. That's the hardest thing to do because we're so hard on ourselves. So we have to forgive ourselves. We have to self-reflect. And there's lots of tools out there to do that. So we've taken these and we put templates. We have what we call an 180 shift tool. You have to habitually practice this every day. You have to tell yourself, I want to move from this thought, this negative thought, to this positive thought. You got to get over the feeling of silliness of saying it to yourself in the mirror or in the recording. But you have to continue to do it habitually, and it starts to shift and train your brain. One of my, and I know probably a lot of people have heard of this book and heard of this tool, but emotional intelligence was a huge tool for me because I did self-assess, and then it gave me opportunity to, if I want to create my self-awareness, my social awareness, here's ways to do that. And, I got to pick and choose. So that was a huge tool that helped me become better self-aware, have conversations with people. This is the other one. And again, not easy, but have those tough conversations. First of all, pick a trusted advisor, whoever that might be. This is somebody that cares about you deeply and cares about your success, but they will be honest with you because they care. And so it's really sitting down with them and saying, when do you see me at my best? What does that look like to you? When do you see me at my worst? What does that look like to you and why? Where do you feel that I am not giving my full potential and I could? Now, again, this is all also being open to feedback. So you need to take this. This is going to help you self-reflect. So when you get those answers, and this is the interview you should have asked yourself. And then this is the interview. It's the same interview that you're asking those trusted advisors, whoever that is. And then you take that information and you self-reflect and you go, what are the experiences? What are my beliefs? What are my traits tied to these? Why in this situation am I not at my best? Why is that? Is it because I have a fear of something? Is it because I have a bias of something? Is it because it's just something I'd never tried before and I've tried it and I didn't like it? And why didn't I like it? Like, you continue to ask yourself those questions, but that to me is steps to self-reflection.
That is phenomenal. I mean, if anybody interested, and by the way, I'm gonna add a link to that book down in the video description. It is key. I read it many years ago, and it did the same thing for me. It was like, whoa, you have to be kidding me. And it's that ability, right? And I guess because we all have the ability to self-reflect, right? The brain, it's just a matter of, just like you're saying, just asking the right questions. That's what does it, I think, and that is awesome. What makes a great coach, in your opinion?
Empathy.
So,
because again, to me, being a coach isn't about sympathizing with someone. It's truly seeking to understand their experiences, their biases and why, their desires and why, and not to judge or agree or disagree or fix, to be able to understand what they want, where they want to be, and why, and what's drawing that is then going to help you guide them along that journey and ask the right questions so that they can self-discover what they need to do to get there. So having empathy to me is one of the strongest skills of a coach, and what you see these strong coaches do.
That's awesome. What makes a great coaching session? Do you actually look for like a big aha moment every session, or is that something that just happens, sporadically, or, what makes a great coaching session?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So a great coaching session to me is when, just like what we used to call a strong interview, and I think I may have said this earlier, is when the individual that I'm coaching is doing a lot of the talking about where they want to go, where they want to be, how they want to get there. Because when I know that I can do a better job to guide them in that direction. So, I'm asking questions and I'm drawing out from them. So that's what I'm not even saying that they're giving me the answers yet. We could be in self-discovery mode, right? Mm-hmm. So it's that I'm asking the right questions that is getting them to either think, that is getting them to self-reflect, that is getting them to come to a conclusion. That's why they're doing a lot of the talking. Mm-hmm. And so that's when I walk away from a coaching session and I go, okay, that was a good coaching session. That felt good, is when I walked away with the individual and they made some self-discoveries and they have actionable steps that we're going to check back in on. That's the closure of it. And the steps could be big or small. To what you said earlier, it could be a big aha or a little aha. Mm-hmm.
Do you follow a certain coaching model, or do you just do what you just said, like feel it, and depending on the needs in the moment of the person?
Yeah. So the model that I follow, and I've gleaned this from several models just through my years, which I think everybody does, which they should, is it is to me about an interview process. Mm-hmm. So it's an interview to understand what their end goal is, how they want to get there, steps that they need to do it. And so a lot of times I will ask them to self-interview themselves before I interview them, because it just gets them, it starts that process of self-reflection, whether it's deep or not, that doesn't matter. It also gets them comfortable with the format of, I do ask a lot of questions. I do probe because I am seeking to understand. And so, but I do have a formula to do that. Like it's an interview formula, but then I also ask them to create an action plan, and I may not even use those words, but I give them a template that they need to then follow that makes them write down what that end goal is. Mm-hmm. And I don't mean their big end goal. I mean, from that moment of the meeting, of that coaching, what they're going to do to get there, timing on when they're going to do it, and what does success look like to them when they've done it? How are they going to know that they've been successful? And they have to write that down and give it to me. And then that becomes then our coaching guide for the next session. Mm-hmm. And then we do the same thing. And it becomes a coaching guide for the next session. So, you know, and then I also have question starters, something I pulled from an amazing program called Exercising Influence. When you're wanting to influence someone for a win-win, there's a lot of sentence starters that if I'm wanting to draw out, here's questions that I use. If I'm wanting to push information to them so that I know that they're hearing some information I'm sharing, what are some great sentence starters? I use that a lot for my own self within the interviews.
I don't know. Kris, if you were to advise a new person, somebody that is just thinking about becoming a coach, what would you say to them? Should they get certified? Should they just, I don't know, read books and start doing it, take action? How they should go about it? What's the best way, in your opinion?
Well, I mean, I would say that they need to be answered the very clear question on why they want to become a coach first. And then truly, what is it about individuals that they want to coach? And they have to, I would say, strongly niche it down. Like, what is it about you being a coach that you want to coach individuals on, and be specific about that? And then third, I would say, once you recognize those two things, talk to other coaches in that field. In my opinion, before you go down getting a certification around X or taking a class around Y, you know, first talk to other coaches and ask them questions. What's worked for you? What hasn't worked for you? What recommendations do you have? That type of thing, because you can glean from their experience, and then that's going to put you on the right path of, okay, this is the type of certification that I want to have because it's going to be most helpful to these individuals, or these are the right books to invest in first, or the right classes to invest in first. I say do that first before you actually jump in to some of those other tangible avenues or tools. That's just my recommendation.
Love it. You mentioned emotional intelligence. Can you share another book that you think people should read, or a couple more? Whatever you have in mind.
You know, a recent book that I read is called Heart-Led Leader. And, you know, at first, to be honest, you know, I had a friend share this with me, and somebody that actually, one of my trusted mentors said, you know, this is a book that was helpful for me. But I am always a little tentative because I'm not a kumbaya type of person, right? I do believe that, you know, there's bottom line results we need to hit. There's financial things that we need to meet as an organization, as an individual. And it can't just be all hugs and loves and everything's going to be okay, right? So the title Heart-Led Leader made me pause for a second. But in talking to her, she said, I already know you. I know what you're thinking. This isn't about kumbaya, but it does talk about the importance of starting with the heart as an individual in general, which helps you see where you want to go and how you want to get there. And it is there's like 18, they call it 18 inches from the heart. So it is a very systematic book that was helpful to me to say, here's a tool within this, like empathy or like transparency, and how that works. And it breaks it down by each chapter. And then it gives examples of very high successful managers and leaders that when you look at them, you know, financially they are running a company very well, but you start to see how they did it. And it's more than just the number. So it was a very good blend for me on that.
That is 18 inches from the heart?
Well, the book is called Heart-Led Leader. The concept is
got it.
There's 18 inches from your head to your heart, and they're connected. And that's what I loved about this book is there's a connection. You have to be just as strong in the heart as you are in the head, and that's where you're seeing all these successes come through.
Tell us a little bit about the work that you're currently doing at Mental Wellness Unleashed, please.
Yeah, absolutely. So our programs are grounded in what we call cognitive behavioral therapy techniques. So again, my misconception before I connected with individuals around this is that these are tools just for those that are struggling with mental health conditions, which they are very effective tools for that. But they're also for individuals that don't have a mental health condition, but they just want to get stronger in their mental wellness holistically, which then leads to becoming a better, stronger person in of itself. So again, maybe that's why I'm a heart-led leader, because there is a mind and body connection, right? And so we take these tools and we provide products and services and focus on helping the workforce and the workplace create stronger mentally healthy employees, which then turns around and hits what I call the people metrics of the organization. If you want to increase your retention, if you want to attract higher talent, if you want to lower your cost of benefits for employees, because if you want to lessen what individuals going on FMLA or disability, these tools directly impact those numbers within an organization, which turns around and hits the bottom line and creates a bigger profit for the company, which creates a bigger profit for the employees. It's a ripple effect, right? If the company's more successful, the employees are more successful. They're paid more, they're bonused more. That's just the reality of life. But it starts with creating employees that can truly self-manage their own self-care and implement these tools to become better communicators, better influencers, more productive. And these cognitive behavioral therapy tools do that for individuals, all individuals. So Mental Wellness Unleashed goal is to work with the workplace and create a stronger mentally healthy culture through these tangible tools.
Got it. So primarily corporations. You don't work with individuals outside corporations.
No, we do.
Okay.
We work with individuals who then are also employees within the organization, because again, this is also contagious. So what you see is individuals that are implementing these tools then take these tools into their workplace, and simply by how they operate, interact, communicate, it's becoming contagious. So we work with individuals that want to increase that. It's a professional development tool.
Phenomenal. And what do you want your legacy to be, Kris?
Honestly, I want my legacy to be one of, one day somebody heard my name and said, oh my gosh, I talked to so-and-so who talked to so-and-so that said, you help them, you coach them, you help them do this lifestyle trait. And then they talked to me about it and I implemented it. And then that individual talked to this individual about it and they implemented it. So again, it's that pay it forward. And then maybe one day somebody on the street says, I've heard your name, not because of a book, not because they saw me in an interview or a podcast or at a speaking engagement, because somebody in their life impacted them because I impacted them. That would be like some random stranger on the street said that to me. I'd be like, okay.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love it. Where can people go to learn more about Mental Wellness Unleashed?
So our website, mentalwellnessunleashed.com. Mm-hmm. And then we also are on Facebook and LinkedIn, and we share a lot of tools and techniques there, how to use them, that people can just go and put to practice.
Awesome. Kris, I cannot thank you enough for this time. This has been amazing. I took so many notes. I learned so much. This is incredible. Thank you so much. And I really wish you the best in your career and what you're doing right now. And hopefully, it sounds like you're going to get there. That legacy, you're working on it and it's going to work out for you. I'm pretty sure.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, Kris.
I thoroughly enjoyed this. I always love chatting with you, David. You know that.
It's a pleasure for me. Thank you, Kris.
Thank you.
We'll see you next time.
All right.
All you listening out there, thank you so much. We wish you very well, especially in these days that we're going through certain challenges.
Yes.
let's get out there and start changing lives one session at a time. Should we? All right. See you all. Bye-bye.
Bye.